And a happy Thursday, and welcome to another edition. It's the 51st edition of Red Sox Now, presented by Fan Arch here on YouTube. I'm your host, Mike Antonellis, part of the broadcast crew of the Worcester Red Sox, radio and TV. Thursday's game already postponed at Polar Park in Worcester. Looks like that could happen with the Red Sox as well, so I'll be there on Friday for a doubleheader. But find me on social media, all my channels, at the Radio Mike. On X, you can find me everywhere. X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. Feel free to send me an email as well. Antonellis.michael@gmail.com. I might need to fix that, right? And also I have a personal YouTube page. It's you got to have it all now, right? Mike Antonellis Media. I probably should just make it Mike, Radio Mike everywhere. Maybe we'll change that. So make sure to subscribe. Comment and like over the last couple of weeks. We have really boosted up the subscriptions. It's a long game, and we know that this channel will grow, and eventually it will grow bigger, and we'll be able to do bigger and better things. Maybe we do something at Fenway at some point. I don't know. I would love to do that. It's baseball's so interesting because, yeah, the Red Sox lost last night, but the good thing is they won that series. And they are 3-3, heading into a 4-game series, which I don't think they'll play Thursday. They'll probably have a doubleheader Friday. And maybe when you're watching this right now, it was already postponed. The good thing is that they play a club that does come back. This would have been a mess having a team in here once, starting a series Thursday. But they got Baltimore. And that first series that they lost is a disappointment because you had a chance to be 4-2 if you won both series. But at 3-3 on the homestand, if you can take 3 of 4, you finish 6-4. Not a disappointment at all. Winning homestands, winning records at home is certainly what you want. But you won this series, and I know what people are saying, and baseball doesn't work this way. We had our ace. Yeah, it's the way the cookie crumbles. The one game you lose, you had Crochet, who was good, who the Red Sox said they were going to limit. Now, listen, I know people are up in arms about this, okay? I just want to tell you from my experience in doing this that there are things that sometimes are going on that they will not tell people. Crochet, maybe, I'm not going to say hurt, but, maybe just some mileage from some previous starts and needed to have a shorter outing. They're not going to come out and tell things like that. They can't because they're not going to tell that because they don't want the other teams to know. So I know people are mad about that, 85 pitches, but you're also mad when he goes over 100. And I feel like at times the Red Sox can't win what they do. And you do have to play a long game with a guy like this. All right? If you burn him out for 120 pitches to win last night and then you lose him, it's not worth it. So there are things to limit guys in a very winnable game. I mean, you didn't score any runs. You struck out a lot again, which we'll get to in a minute. But Crochet, still a really good outing. 5 1/3, 5 hits, 1 run, a walk, 5 strikeouts. He seems to sometimes fight it early. But, man, did he work over Juan Soto. But the Mets had a good effort. Lindor homered in the ninth. They scored 3 off Liam Hendricks, who had a tough outing. Maybe he's looking at an IL stint. 3 hits. I don't think he looks right yet. Bernardino and Sean Newcomb had to come into that game, and boy, Bernardino, another scoreless inning, and Newcomb had to wear it for 2 innings. He just pitched Sunday, hit in a run and a couple of walks, but those did not hurt him as the Red Sox lose 5-1, but they take the series, as you see, 2-1. You know how I feel about fastballs, all right? McGill, 30 of 37 for strikes. Struck out 10 over 4 2/3. Mets threw a lot of fastballs. When you watched that game last night, man, the Red Sox were taking a lot of fastballs. Now, he can place them, but a lot of fastballs. They attacked them because that is the thing about the Red Sox. That's what the data says. I thought they took a lot of fastballs last night, and it still works. I know the philosophy here is that to avoid it, I think that's crazy. You don't see it with Crochet. You just see it, I think, with some other guys, which I don't think is working for some other guys. But the Mets gave you a lot of fastballs, and that's a lot of strikeouts. 16. I think they had 14 going into the 8th inning, and they have lost 10 plus strikeouts. I think they've 75% of their losses. They've struck out 10 or more times. So, yeah, I mean, you strike out 16 times in a game. The Captain Obvious statement of the day, you're not going to win a lot of those games. Bregman struck out 4 times for the first time in his career. Devers was the only one not to strike out. Red Sox had just 6 hits. Nick Sogard had 2 of them. He hit in the 6th position yesterday. So I still believe in fastballs. That Mets bullpen is really good, by the way. Brazabon, Garrett, and, of course, the Trumpets guy, Diaz. Garrett's really good. Brazabon, Garrett, ERAs of under 1. Pitching seems to be back in baseball. Really does. It's kind of like the NFL. Defense is back, but pitching is certainly back because teams have spent so many resources now, with pitching to combat the hitting, and I think it's worked. Listen, you know how I feel about team construction. I still think with the Red Sox, at times, if you go through 51 games, there were a lot of winnable games that your starting pitching let you down. Tanner Houck gave up 11 runs twice. You scored 4 more runs a lot and lost. So I look at it like this. I think there's, right now I had the total written down. You've lost 12 games when you've scored 4 or more runs. If you won just 3 of those, you'd be 28-23, and we might be looking at this team completely different. So certainly that needs to be more consistent. But I do think at some point, and I have mentioned this is not something new that I have brought to the table. You look at the lineup right now, and the reason that Devers has to bat, Alex Cora doesn't like these lefties, but he needs protection for Devers. So that's where Bregman comes in. And I think Bregman is okay not having someone behind him because his at-bats are just different. He's just a different hitter. But it would be nice if he had protection. But Wilyer Abreu is batting cleanup. Now, Wilyer has had the most interesting stretches this month. He begins the month 0 for 12, then 7 for 12, then 0 for 13, then 6 for 14, then 2 for 27. So he's had 2 stretches this month where he's gone 13 for 26 and 2 for 52. We've talked about this. That's why you're here. A lot of this. And right now, when we gravitate to guys lower in the order, what Rafaela and Narvaez are doing is fine for their spots in the order. But in that middle of the lineup with Abreu, Campbell, Sogard, Story, that's a black hole a little bit. With Abreu really up and down, he's probably not a 4th hitter. Campbell's probably not a 4th hitter. Story's probably more of a 7th where he hit last night, but he's been struggling. So I do think at some point you might have to address a right-handed bat in the middle of that lineup. And I don't know what the solution is for that, but I think when you're looking at guys in the middle of the order, I mean, you don't want Abreu, Campbell, Sogard to bat in that 4, 5, 6. And I think they're short a right-handed hitter. I think that would be maybe the best solution. So you could go Duran, Bregman, Devers, that right-handed hitter, then Abreu, then maybe Campbell, your first baseman, Story, Narvaez, But I think that's been kind of an issue with their lineup at times, is you have guys batting in spots that they shouldn't be and not producing for those spots. But we'll see. How do you get a right-handed hitter? I don't know. A right-handed hitting first baseman, who could be out there? Yeah. But I love Nick Sogard. I think, I love them in Worcester. Great at bats last night. 2 hits, scored the only run, had a double. He got down to McGill 0-2 quickly, and he looked at times overmatched, and he worked it full and then doubled off him. But I love Nick Sogard. I think he's a real good utility guy. I think he's done a real good job. He's up to 258. Narvaez is going to get talks about Rookie of the Year, which is crazy. So, and also, no Red Sox game today. They postponed that game last night, and I think the Red Sox will do the same thing at some point. We got a nor'easter here in New England. That's a nor'easter of a show, if that makes any sense. Red Sox Now is presented by Fan Arch here on YouTube. I'm your host, Mike Antonellis. Please subscribe, comment, and like on the channel. Stay dry out there. Happy Thursday. We'll talk to you again on Friday right here on Red Sox Now.